Yes, and we have a lot of questions for them because there has been a bomb dropped on the NASCAR industry. Hard to keep secrets. Stewart managed to pull off a very big one today.
I was shocked at 9 a.m. this morning. Now we share with you.
One guy, this guy, who can't wait to get to Atlanta for Sunday's Cup race. They're defending race winners there. But first, Chad, we want you to go back to the Daytona 500.
So we're actually in process right now of talking with NASCAR, trying to understand exactly what that is. From our perspective, you know, it's questionable. It's a safety thing that they're concerned about fashion. So we're trying to get it all worked out.
Now, what's a faster way that you can try to remedy this problem in the future when NASCAR calls you on something that you may think you didn't do?
It's a challenge. It really is.
We're not done looking back at Team 48 in the yesteryears.
I love surprises live
way
on
back
television.
Wednesday.
I really had a feeling this was coming. That's
okay,
it. Melling and Stacy Compton.
2001,
right?
That's 2001. That's Mark Melling, Stacy Compton, and myself.
The 92 car.
The 92 car. We were fortunate. We sat on the pole that year at both races at Talladega and qualified, I think, outside front row for one of the 500 events. So.
Yeah, and then it was just 1 year later that you started back at Hendrick Motorsports.
Look, I know what I'm talking about right there. You see that? Like, I was.
That was good.
I was confident.
That was good. 2002, you teamed up with Jimmy Johnson, and as they say, folks, the rest is history.
You look good today, like you did then, man.
You guys all, you just get the three of you.
Oh,
just get better looking with age.
Go get my picture from 2002. It'll look different. Let's get back to.
I want to get to Atlanta. The weather really is supposed to be beautiful. Sunny, no chance of rain in the 60s. So head down and watch Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson whoop up on the field and go 2 for 2 Sunday.
Man, we're stoked.
Someone told me that.
It was Larry McReynolds.
I was going to say Larry McReynolds is piping in.
Thank you, Larry.
Great luck to you dealing with a new package. And, it's always good to have you in.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, Wally Dallenbach is a race car driver once again, heading to... Welcome into NASCAR Race Hub. NASCAR wraps up the 2016 Media Tour today at the Hall of Fame in Uptown Charlotte, which is just down the road from our FS1 studios. And wow, it is going to be a busy day. I'm Danielle Trotta. So happy you're joining us. Our new time slot, 5 p.m. Eastern, all year long. And by the night... All right, Adam, thanks. We're welcoming in two-time Daytona 500 championship-winning crew chief Larry McReynolds. We're discussing how many days away we are from the Great American Race. Larry will give you his famous countdown at the end of the show. Right now, we are talking Kevin Harvick. And want to give Kyle Busch his just due. He was the champion, but if Rowdy was 1, I would argue that Kevin Harvick was 1A.
Yeah, and did you hear what Kevin Harvick told Adam racing?
A lot of second-place finishes.
A lot.
They want to make...
if you do the math, I guess it would be 13.
I think it was, exactly. Rounding out our coverage today from the Hall of Fame, Caitlin Vincey, who's with the veteran driver at Team Ganassi. I don't think he has anything to worry about, Adam. Thanks. These numbers prove it. If you're a Kurt Busch fan, be optimistic in 2016. His 2 wins last year were the most he's had since 2011. His top 10s and points finish, the best since 09. And his average finish of 11th is a career best. And remember, that's despite missing the first 3 races of the season. One Cup driver I can think of who wish he had numbers like that a year ago is Kasey Kahne. Let's see how the Hendrick driver plans to turn things around this year. Here's Alan Cavana. When Tony announced his retirement plans late last year, I asked him why the decision to come back for a final season. He told me he's doing it for his fans. One final chance to watch him race. Smoke felt it's the least he could do for the fans that have been so loyal. Ouch. Adam got snubbed. Don't snub me. Bring it in, big guy.
Let's hug it out. Let's hug it out. I feel better hugging you than I would Adam Alexander.
I understand.
Tony Stewart, just for the record.
I understand. Okay, let's talk smoke. I don't like the feeling of Jeff Gordon walking away. I think a lot of people feel the same way for Tony Stewart, but he said it. Jeff went out on top. What are your expectations for Tony?
Well, I think Tony said it.
Yeah. Okay, so Tony has a new crew chief yet again this year. He struggled to find the right fit. Mike Bugaravich will be atop the box. Larry, you were crew chief for decades. You crew chief champions. If you're Mike, how do you approach the final year with Tony? What do you give him?
Well, the good thing is Mike has to try to be competitive. Let's face it, Tony Stewart has not even had a top 5 finish since Martinsville in the fall of 2014. Just be competitive. Solid runs.
I want Daytona 500 champion. That's what I want to say.
That's what he wants too.
Just a few days from now. We're witnessing an era in NASCAR where some of the biggest stars are saying goodbye. Tony Stewart this year. Last year it was Jeff Gordon. Taking over his legendary 24 car this season is the rookie, Chase Elliott, who's at the NASCAR Hall of Fame with Caitlin. All right, Caitlin, thanks. We saw Austin Dillon take over a legendary number several years ago. He handled the pressure well. Chase will experience a similar spotlight in just 4 weeks at Daytona.
So the word on the street is the old touchscreen wasn't too good to Mr. Hammond the other day. It's a career ender. I'm telling you, it's a career ender.
It was over a half an hour into the show, so I know what some of you are thinking. Where the heck is Dale Earnhardt Jr.? How about 6-time Jimmy Johnson? Well, don't worry. Adam has his work cut out for him still. The stars are coming up in just moments, right, Double A?
Not only Dale and Jimmy, but
3 degrees there of banking. Nolan knows NASCAR. She doesn't know football, apparently, because she thinks her Patriots will somehow conquer. Talk about the rookie standings, and here's all 4 gentlemen going for Rookie of the Year. I think we all know, Wally, at this point. It's really Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott going for the title.
It's a great rookie class, but definitely these 2 guys have been standing out so far. And if you look at their numbers, it's awfully close. I mean, these guys have been delivering. Chase had a little problem at Las Vegas, or I think his numbers have, match what Ryan's doing. But they're both doing a great job, and they've started off the season so well. I wouldn't be surprised to see one, if not both of them, win a race before the year's over.
Here's what's interesting. Of all the talent they have, they've never raced at Auto Club Speedway before. Ryan, in any series, how difficult is that going to be?
They don't expect anybody. If their cars unload good, they're going to be up to speed within 4 or 5 laps.
Bad seat in the house here at Daytona, and these are not your granddaddy's grandstands. From our location in front of the start-finish line, we want to welcome you. I'm Danielle Trotta, excited to bring you the drama and excitement of Xfinity racing. I'm joined by my 2 buddies, 9-time series winner Kenny Wallace and 2-time Daytona 500 championship winning crew chief Larry McReynolds. Guys, we're back for 2016. So excited. And is it just me, or does the series feel younger and faster than ever? If Kenny didn't have a mic in his hand right now, he'd Macarena all over this set. Let's brag on Eric Jones a little bit and be honest. He is the star of this series. A lot of people calling him already the heavy favorite to win the title.
We have to ask.
15 laps to go. We're under caution at Daytona International Speedway. Glad you're joining us for an exciting finish. Danielle Trotta alongside Larry McReynolds. Joey Logano out in front right now. Larry, the question is, can he hang on to the finish?
Well, we had a split decision there. We had 6 drivers that stayed out. We had 8 that came to pit road. But here's the thing. Do we really believe that's the last caution right there? Guys, I don't think there's any way.
Nice run by Austin and his brother Ty Dillon, but none better, Larry, than Junior Motorsports. They were the class of the field today. Chase Elliott wins, and 3.
is it Wednesday already? Can you believe this? Halfway through the week, it's a NASCAR Race Hub on FS1. We're happy you're here. Danielle Trotta's excited. Look at that bright red dress.
I wore it just for Joey.
Ready to go.
The Shell Pennzoil colors, right? Yeah.
Andy Petrie is calling the signals atop the box today. Is that right, Andy?
Well, it looks like it. Yeah, I guess I'm the, not America's crew chief. I'm the one.
Joey Logano is the driver. That means he's not going to listen to Andy today. And I'm Adam Alexander. And both you guys did the double over the weekend, right?
Well, a little bit different double. I actually got to go to the Indy, that I got there just in time to see the green flag of the Coke 600.
You must have been tired.
Well, you know what?
I had a whole day off in between.
I left early, though. I didn't tell you the rest of the story. I watched the end of it on the couch.
But your double a little bit different. I mean, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, a little
different. The real double.
Yeah, well, the double week, hard time watching that race. And
it was so hard. And,
recovering from that and then having to watch another one.
And how heavy the remote control got.
Oh, I could imagine.
900 miles driven in a weekend by Joey Logano and the $1 million. We'll talk to Joey about the All-Star win and moving forward in a moment, guys. A fun show ahead. Bad news out of RPM for Jeb Burton and our Drew Blickensturfer. Speaking of Xfinity and going to Pocono and the double, this guy will be doing it again. The Xfinity Series racing for the first time ever at the Tricky Triangle. We'll also talk to Joey about that in a moment. But before we flash forward to racing in June, we have to look back because, oh, what a month of May it was for our special guest, Joey Logano. Finished 9th in the Coke 600, 8 spots better when it really mattered. Come on, $1 million on the line. Your all-star winner for the first time ever. What is it like to win $1 million?
Oh, jeez. I wish I got that $1 million. It sounds really good on TV, but it was nice to break through and get that.
But when do you think you're going to get that first win?
This weekend.
Okay.
Right? I think we got momentum on our side. We got looking forward to big things.
And when you were in victory lane after that big all-star win, Jamie Little pointed it out in your post-race interview. As we zoomed in on that 22 ride, the special paint scheme you had, we're talking more about Penske racing and the special anniversary later, but 50 years, you picked a good year to do it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And that
kind of a big deal. I mean, Daytona 500, Andy Petrie, now the all-star race.
All the big ones, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, the championship's just around the corner.
No Coke 600. No one had anything for Martin Truex. You don't see. How often do you see runs like you saw in the 78?
I tell you, don't see it very often.
On the other shooter drop, I'm sure when you're leading that many laps, you got to think something's getting ready to happen.
You would think that, but
it didn't for him, so it's good for him.
In some ways, Joey's happy to see the month of May behind him, Adam. But for Martin Truex, he's saying, hey, not so much.
Well, let's look at this May by the number.
Thank you. One highlight of May, you
win this weekend? No.
I think he's going to have a good chance.
I got a warning.
You better save that answer.
So, I mean,
save the answer.
You know, I mean, I don't know what to say right now. I'm kind of stuck. I hope he's not watching. I don't think I want to let him win, but he's giving me a ride on his plane. I don't really know what to say.
Butter him up there. And then after that,
And then after that, it's for game time.
Right.
I hope you're not going to try and ride home with him if you win. All right, Danielle.
Speedway. Hard to believe. We're halfway to the chase.
Almost there.
13 down, 13 to go, and we have 8 drivers so far who have been to victory lane. We highlight them for you here, Joey. One handsome face, though, I think is missing from this board.
I agree.
You, Mr. Joey Logano. So the great 8 here, who else may get on the board? As we show you the point standings, who should be worried, right? 16 drivers we know will make the playoffs, 13 more chances to do it. And here sits Joey Logano. How comfortable is that lead, Joey? Plus 65 at this point.
It was a lot more down here and being close. So getting a win would feel really nice, in all honesty. But I feel fairly comfortable. We can still race aggressive. We can still go for the wins like we typically do with the 22 team.
Okay, so here's the cutoff. Like Joey said, a few good or bad days can really move you up or down the board, Joey. So with that said, a lot of moving parts, great drivers like yourself who haven't won a race yet. Who kind of concerns you? Who do you have your eye on?
Well, I think right now everyone has their eye. You know, it's a race, pretty much. But he's only a win away from being up here, not even on this sheet. So I think, and then that is obviously going to bump Ryan Newman out. So these guys are really close, obviously. And especially when you think about cars that can win outside of the chase right now, obviously everyone's got their eye on Kyle Larson.
Yeah, and how about Ricky Stenhouse, Trevor Bayne, 2 Roush drivers, 18-19, Greg Biffle. Remember, all 3 of those Roush guys, a part of your Ford family, they qualified inside the top 10 for the Coke 600 at Charlotte, but still looking to break into victory lane for the first time this year. Caitlin Vincey has more now at the house. Okay, Caitlin, thank you so much. Roush Fenway, they're making gains. We can definitely see that. I think qualifying at the Coke 600 was really an eye-opener for everybody, Andy. It was nice to see all 3 of those guys up on the speed charts.
Yeah, it was. It was a good bump for them, but Roush guys, if there's Fords that are going to break in victory lane, I think it's going to be the Penske Fords.
Well, I sure hope so. But, you know, I think you definitely, fast car does it. So, but I think you definitely see them making improvements, which is great to see, you know, as together. So it's nice to see them kind of coming along here.
And you're on the same engine program as they are. So these long straightaways at Pocono,
that's building this stuff. So I look forward to Pocono for that reason. That I think it is a big horsepower track. It's also a big drag track on the cars. There's a lot of, you're on the straightaway a long time.
Same aero and engine and
everything.
What's interesting, though, guys,
triangle.
Ford hasn't been to victory lane at Pocono in quite some time. A little did you know, Brad Keselowski, the last to, I'm sorry, Greg Biffle was the last to do it in a Ford in 2010 because Brad did it in a
Dodge.
In a Dodge. Yeah. There you go. So Joey Logano, one of the Ford drivers, looking to end that tricky triangle drought. And he's also running the double, Adam, as we said, but a different kind of sweep, maybe, that Dale Jr. had at Pocono recently. Teens throwback paint scheme look like? We have some special guests to help us with the exclusive unveiling.
Yeah, well, Joey's been with us the full hour, but it's not all the time. We get to welcome in a Sprint Cup champion. Bobby Labonte is here, won it in 2000, and we're glad to have you on the hub. And we will tell everyone why Bobby is here after the two of you get up and pull the wraps off of that car. You guys want to do it? You
Let's do it. Yeah, let's go for it. I can't wait anymore.
Ready? Crush it like somebody did.
Can you play it now?
Heck yeah, I can play it.
Really? right?
Absolutely.
Hey, 20 years later, all the stories get good, right?
Yeah. So
Bobby,
I'm excited.
What did you think about Darlington last year and the whole throwback scheme, the way the current drivers and teams embraced that weekend?
You know, that was one of the best races of the year. I thought it was great. I mean, so to see Joey and all the other...
What was it like to be a part of that last year, Joey?
I think one of the neatest things is sure, because apparently this car has won a few times. So I need to make that happen and try to do some neat things like that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, Bobby. You know, he's been checking off crown jewels, Daytona 500, All-Star Race, $1 million. Let Joey in on the secret. What is it like to win at Darlington, one of the most special tracks in our sport?
Well, obviously, it's, I mean, I haven't Yeah, the Southern 500 was a great...
Get a parking spot.
Yeah, an extra special parking spot. But no, winning it was top pressure-packed races of the year, and winning it is amazing.
It seems like it's definitely like that. It's so hard to get...
No Darlington stripes.
You know what? If you do, Joey, it'll be hard to see on the car. Yeah,
Thank you for being here to help unveil this thing. Okay. All right. And the greatest golfers in the world.
Seems like a unanimous decision across the board for our analysts. As strong as Penske's been for 50 years, they will continue to be for the next 50. What's it like to see some of the men in our sport that have been around forever, Joey, say that your organization is just rock solid and will continue to be that way?
Well, it's an honor to drive for someone like that, right? Roger Penske.
Such a nice guy and a cheerleader at the track. You see him shaking hands, and what you guys have is really paying off.
It really does. You know, Brad and I work...
Yeah, what about in 2020?
Yeah.
Do you see more than...
You just never know. I do think, you know, there's a good chance that there'll probably be a third car by then, but you never know. Things can happen, but I sure hope I'm still around over there and I get to drive the race cars and Brad and I are still out there. Yeah.
You'd have to go through another contract, right?
Yeah, so I better keep winning.
I don't think you have anything to worry about.
But you want to be...
He wants to win.
You want to be there in 2020, right?
Of course. I want to be in a winning race car, and we know Team Penske will always have those.
Yeah, so a lot to look forward to in the future with our 2020 Vision Piece. Next Wednesday will be our second installment, and in just 2 days, some of the work has been made this year to improve the quality of racing on mile-and-a-half tracks. They want lead changes, quality passes for the lead, lots of side-by-side racing. That's the goal. So after the Coke 600, NASCAR executive Steve O'Donnell was asked if there's cause for concern. Here's his thoughts on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio.
So if you're at the table, raise your hands if you'd like to see the package that we ran at the All-Star race. I know one guy that's for it. Yes. You're not going to win $1 million every week, okay? But that was a little bit of an experiment, and we know that NASCAR's always looking to improve things. So you're in the garage, you know what's going on. Where are we right now?
I think you know, all the drivers talk to each other. There's a lot of
one thing I think is that skew is probably a bigger deal than what we see. All the reasons why they should take that out.
Because it is a relationship, the teams, NASCAR and Goodyear. Mark Martin on our show yesterday, and he felt like that was a big part of the equation, Joey. Where do you think you are in relation to the package conforming with the tire and vice versa?
You know, I've been able to go to a few tires out. You know, we're asking for more grip. So we're constantly asking for something different.
You can't put it all on the tire either, because wasn't that the same tire on the All-Star weekend that we had in the 600?
It sure was.
A lot different races.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously a lot of it goes back to the tire, but there was fall off. There was probably the most fall off at Charlotte we've seen in a while.
You were doing double duty. We said it earlier. Let's look at those Xfinity. Like 8,000 calories on that, I think.
It's one of the many reasons why we love going to Sonoma every year.
Have you ever had the crab cake corn dog?
No, but it doesn't sound bad.
No, it doesn't at all.
Crab cake and a corn dog.
At the same time?
Well, no.
You know what? We've had some nasty crashes over the years at Pocono.
Yeah, and I've been in that pit stall, that first pit stall, watching you get
well, whatever. But we'll see green flag pit stops this weekend, and that could be a little bit of a game changer.
It's definitely going to come into play. What if there was pit stops about to happen there up on the wall?
Yeah, it works out.
That could have been really bad.
But it could have gone bad.
Yeah.
And more safer barrier. Can't go wrong with that either. So we've seen some big crashes there. So
and salute Brandon Igdalski and everybody at Pocono Raceway. They've done an outstanding job of improving Pocono, especially in the name of safety.
We are so excited for Saturday. The first time ever the Xfinity Series goes to Pocono. And we wish you the best of luck, Joe. I know you want to win it bad.
Good luck on your next double.
Yeah, beat that Kyle Busch. He's winning everything in the Xfinity Series this year.
He's smiling like he knows something we don't. Maybe he's going to win on.
We're confident.
Welcome to NASCAR Race Hub on a Monday. The show presented by Ram Trucks. Guts, Glory, Ram. Danielle Trotta's here. I'm Adam Alexander. America's crew chief, Larry McReynolds. And we're happy he's all in one piece after that hard hit on Saturday night.
A little tender right now, still
Regan
easy
Smith
there.
Is here.
One of the hardest hits you've taken, right?
Definitely. In my career, that was...
A proud moment for the two team for sure. Now back-to-back wins. Brad Keselowski leading 75 laps en route to his 4th victory on the season. We show you the top 10 finishers here. Note, half of the top 10 finishers are Chevy drivers, although the manufacturer has never won a cup race at Kentucky. Martin Truex Jr., probably the class of the field, likely could have won the race had it not been for the pit road incident. Adam, he led 46 laps. He would go on to finish 10th. Wow, for once we actually see young guns racing like the rookies they are. Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney having a tough time Saturday night in Kentucky. Regan, show us how this incident all got started on lap 88.
Yeah, and let's make sure we point out that it wasn't just those two that had a tough time. There was veterans that were having a tough time at Kentucky. That was a difficult track, difficult tire combination on that track, and it challenged everybody. We'll go ahead and start the clip right here.
In turn 2, Ryan Blaney running 6th, Chase Elliott 4th.
Right, and I want to stop it here because what happens here is Chase Elliott actually gets...
Brad Keselowski goes back-to-back. He's the star of NASCAR Race Hub tomorrow. He'll be here breaking down his 3rd career victory at Kentucky. And if you look at those wins, 2012, 2014, and Saturday night, each win has been distinctly different. Same track, different circumstances, none more difficult than this past weekend, where the only thing certain was the high degree of difficulty. Here's
up, and it puts him in a little bit of a situation. We're going to go a little bit further forward with this clip here. When he gets to the back straightaway, he gets into a situation where he has had to check up and lose all of his momentum because of that little hiccup that happened back there. Well, 3 wide at Kentucky this weekend, it's not going to work.
No good.
It's a bad situation right there. That's where the wreck actually started. We'll go a little bit further forward here. Now we see him getting off into turn 3.
Tight racing 3 wide.
Tight racing 3 wide. 2 wide was very difficult to do. Very tough spot for any driver to be in, and I don't know that you can get out of that.
So perhaps Chase came down just a wee bit, but you're saying because of the situation Ryan Blaney put himself in, really a no-win.
Well, he didn't put himself in that situation. That's just how it worked out. They ended up see him get loose early on in that corner, and that was happening all weekend long at Kentucky. You were getting loose early on. We'll point out one more time here. I'll stop it. This gray line before they even wreck, we see Chase trying to keep his right sides below that gray line. So it was a bad situation all the way around.
He kept saying the gray is bad. Luckily, his playoff position still good. Right now, Chase Elliott in. Ryan Blaney has dropped out right now, showing in the 19th position. Adam. 4 wins at this halfway point of the season. Pretty perfect place for Brad Keselowski to sit, Larry. But that smirk on his face, playing a little cat and mouse. Carl said he played it perfectly. As soon as he got to him, he stood on the gas. Do you think he had a little bit more in the tank than he was letting on?
Not until he flipped that switch, because that was 71 laps, Danielle, and his confidence right now, because remember, a dismal year last year. They only had 1 win total. And you think about, 4, only repeat winner in the last 10. And remember, most of our tracks in the chase are at a 1.5. His last 19 starts at a 1.5-mile racetrack, 18 top 10 finishes.
Okay, crew chief, so help me out a little bit. You talk about flipping the switch. We saw him give the old DW wiggle there to shake around some fuel. How impressed are you with some of the things that Brad had to do down the stretch to make it?
Well, we know they are...
Ouch. A little bit of a hurtin' put on Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski's teammate. Let's remind you guys.
You know, I played with the kids in the pool yesterday. I think I forgot I was 57 years old. I've got some parts hurting that I didn't know I owned.
I'm going to put my vote with the fans. I think it's Joe Gibbs right now.
Yeah, but see, 7 of the first 12 races, right? JGR won, but none in the last 6. To Larry's point, Penske's won 3. So if we say right now
let me say this,
it's hard to not argue for Penske.
1 on a package we won't see again. 1 was a fuel mileage race. 1 at a plate.
There's no asterisks by a win.
Okay, no asterisks. Throwing it out there.
They still have the trophies.
Gibbs that wins the poll at 34%.
Way to go, Regan.
We have one more Connect Live debate, right?
Yeah, we do. But first, let's hear from the driver that had a great run this weekend, Ryan Newman with Andrew Dowd.
The best one. It just seemed like you could at least predict a little bit about what your car was doing. The aero package made it more challenging. The harder tire made it more challenging, yes, but in terms of repays, they did a nice job.
5th night race of the year. Your thoughts, Larry?
Yeah, I mean, outside were exciting, and then obviously the drama of a lot of big names having problems.
Tremendous amount of incidents. Tied a record 11 cautions. We'll recap the race in just a moment. Kicking off, though, on this Monday with your... I don't know how he feels. Just ask him.
He's going to tell you.
Or maybe not.
Dale Jr. saying not fun. So many variables going into this race, guys. Made it a big unknown. I'm not sure if the blame game, though, to Goodyear, NASCAR, or Kentucky Speedway is necessarily fair.
Yeah, I mean, Goodyear's off guard. I talked to his owner this morning, Tommy Baldwin, which led to some cooked tire beads, is there was a lot of brake usage for a mile-and-a-half track. I saw rotors glowing early in that race. In fact, Joey Logano and Casey Mears actually broke brake rotors, so really caught everybody off guard.
Much brake in the race as I was the practice. Every car out there was glowing rotors. It looked like a short track race, and that's rare for any mile-and-a-half.
If we run this package next year at places like Indianapolis and Pocono, that's going to be the challenge because of the brakes, because the straightaway speed is so fast with that little bitty spoiler on the rear of the car.
But quickly, that's what I was going to ask. Yes or no, new rules package, we're heading in the right direction. Question, more to come. The hottest in NASCAR right now. Who's on the top of the mountain? The choice is below. Voting open now. Where are you guys going? Leading off the paces, Joe Gibbs Racing, 36%. But we could make a case for Penske right now. They're a close second.
Yeah, if you say right now, I don't know how you would not say Penske. They've won 3 of the last 4 races. They have 5 wins.
And he's won there, so that's a good thing. Connect Live question number 2 includes Ryan Newman. He's got a 106-race winless streak. So which driver breaks his winless streak first? Here are your choices. Boyer, Biffle, Bain, the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman, or Jamie McMurray, who was much improved over the weekend at Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest. I don't see any of these.
Of experience, he's a veteran. He's good at most tracks. I mean, I don't know that he's got a weak spot when it comes to tracks, so I'm going to go with Biffle.
And his crew chief, Brian Patty, can pull a rabbit out of a hat. We've seen it before.
Sat on the pole at Daytona, back-to-back top 10s. I like where you're going with the Biff, but the fans, guys, they're going Ganassi. They think Jamie McMurray, and doesn't he always win the big races, and we have Indy right around the corner, so you never know. Nobody sees sports.
You know, that was actually an upgrade, because the year before, we did the Wizard of Oz theme on Halloween, and I was Glinda the Good Witch. Now, I know I look ridiculous in tights, but you ought to see me with long blonde hair and a pink dress. I look like a real idiot, more so than normal.
A lot of candles on the old AA cake.
Can you believe, though, that 2016 is absolutely halfway over?
Halfway older, and Adam...
This guy always takes it right back to the
He does, right?
Welcome to NASCAR Race Up on a Thursday. I'm Adam Alexander, and usually I do the introductions from right to left, ladies first, right? So I'll start with Danielle Trotta.
No offense taken.
But then I'm going to invert and go Jeff Gordon, then Jeff Hammond.
I was going to say, don't change anything.
I mean, it's Martinsville weekend. You've won there 9 times. Welcome in. Good to have you both there with us today.
Thank you. Yeah.
Double Jeffs.
Yeah,
the Jeff and Jeff.
Yesterday was Regan. Today is the Jeff and Jeff show. And let's not slight the other Jeff, by the way. You have 9 clocks. Our man over here has 7 alone as a crew chief. So 16 clocks.
I was going to say, that's the service.
Always be on time.
And Rick Hendrick has 23. These two have combined for 13. 4 Jeff had with Darrell Waltrip, and Jeff Gordon's got 9 himself. So the numbers are pretty good for Mr. H in these two as well.
We can't think of a better panel to help get you ready for the Sprint Cup Series race coming up on Sunday in Virginia. But first, we kick off with some sad news. From the king to another legend himself, 4-time champion Jeff Gordon in just a moment will take us for a lap around Martinsville Speedway, a place he knows quite well, and share with us his secrets to success, what it's been over the years. But first, some drivers trying to reach Jeff's mark explain what the toughest part of this short track is to them.
So let's go back over and join Danielle and Jeff, and we talk about how difficult a lap is at a place like Martinsville, but we've talked about on the show this week, Danielle, pit road can be challenging as well.
Yeah, Regan Smith was here yesterday, guys. He said it's a nightmare, and there's so many games being played. As Jeff was drawing, Jeff Hammond was like an old crew chief. He had all of his notes out. He's dissecting pit road. Guys, because the field went from 43 to 40 cars, some pit stalls were eliminated. Jeff, talk us through how that's going to affect teams and the gamesmanship, if you will.
Well, the gamesmanship.
That's a tune some winners could get used to. Let's refresh your memory a bit now that the off week is behind us. So far this season, we've seen 4 different winners in the first 5 races. But what are the chances one of those guys can repeat in 2016 and go back to victory lane this weekend in Martinsville? Oh, it's been way too long since Jimmy Johnson's won at Martinsville, right, Jeff?
Yeah, that's forever. 2013 actually is for him.
We're going to get to another Hendrick driver in just a moment as we highlight 4 drivers who surprisingly have never won at Martinsville. Jeff, let's start with the 22 car of Joey Logano.
Yeah, I mean, you maybe could say this isn't such a surprise, but Joey Logano dominated this race the last time we were in Martinsville. Of course, we all know about the incident. He was leading that race. Look at this, 414 laps led. That tells me a lot about his skills and his abilities at Martinsville. Even though he doesn't have the win, he's got some top 5s. I think he's going to be a real factor this weekend.
Can you believe our defending champion, Kyle Busch, is yet to earn a Martinsville clock? What do you think Rowdy can do Sunday?
Well, you know, it's not his best track. He admits that. But he's so good everywhere that we go. I think he could possibly do a clean sweep this weekend. He's going to be running the truck race as well. But, you know, with Joe Gibbs Racing equipment, his talent, his ability, the confidence he has right now, I think he could change these numbers, at least that win number.
Okay, we'll see.
And he's got a lot of laps led, too. So
I was going to say another number above 400 in that category. How about his teammate, Jeff? Carl Edwards.
Yeah, this is not Carl's best racetrack. He admits that. But I think his confidence has really come up since he's gone to Joe Gibbs Racing. We all know how well we've seen how well Kyle has done there with his laps led, but also Denny Hamlin's so good at Martinsville. And I think a lot of that teammate, and we have seen how well they've communicated as teammates, I think a lot of that's going to pay off for Carl this weekend.
That's a great point. I know someone you communicate with quite well. The 24 car, how's your boy going to do? Chase Elliott.
Well, you know, I think Chase is going to do really well, and I'll tell you why. Of course, he's in the 24 car, great race car, great race team. They know how to win. They won the last race there. But I'm so impressed with how he has progressed this season. And in the races, in each race, he seems to get better and better throughout the race. That's tire management. That's good communication. That's what it takes to win at Martinsville.
Looking at his season numbers, 3 top 10s, he surprised a lot of people. We'll see if he could leave off where this guy was last year in the chase, Adam. Still fun to see that pure, raw emotion from Dale Earnhardt Jr. after he got that first ever Martinsville victory. But what made the win so special? It's just another track on the schedule, right? Another win to add to your career stats. Well, if you think that way, you're dead wrong. It's the oldest track on the circuit and where legends have staked their claim. Last fall, we saw a legend cap off a storybook career at Martin. That was Jeff Gordon's final victory in the Sprint Cup Series at Martinsville. That'll always be special, and I loved the celebration.
Oh, my gosh, so much emotion.
Hey, Danielle.
Hi, Hambo.
That black and white dress you got on, you look like you're missing something.
What?
I think you need a yellow flag. I mean, you look like
Live on FS1, I'm Danielle Trotta. Right now, we're also streaming simultaneously on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Our weekly segment always features the Godfather, Dave Moody, but today he's also joined by the legendary Jeff Gordon. Not bad company to keep, Dave.
Danielle, how are you? I'm having a little trouble hearing you here. As a matter of fact, I'm barely hearing you at all. But
on Race Hub 4 days a week before Dave Moody gets him on Sirius 5 days a week. Jeff will be a busy man, though, working this weekend on FS1, calling the race with Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip for Martinsville. I love the debate on your show today, Dave. It centers around the greats. Who is the best ever at Martinsville? I'd argue it's 9-time winner Jeff Gordon. But let's see what your callers had to say.
And Danielle.
Yeah, Dave, and we haven't even talked about your favorite snack at your favorite venue, the Martinsville hot dogs.
Oh, Dave, you love those hot dogs? That's one thing I never accepted. I never went there.
I don't know how he's going to get in the Hall of Fame with that kind of attitude, but you know, actually, I'm on a diet now, so it's going to be one and done for me this week. And I know it's disappointing to a lot of people that have seen me go double digits a couple of times, but one and done is my plan, at least.
We'll try to get Jeff Gordon one Martinsville hot dog as well when he makes the trip this weekend. Boys, thank you. Sunday, the Sprint Cup.
Did they give you a yellow flag, Danielle?
Yeah, they said I looked like a referee.
I think you look very nice in your black and white.
Danielle, could you say holding number 73 on the offense? 130 miles.
I think Jimmy Johnson's going to be a professional bike rider one day.
Is he getting ready for the Olympics?
The Tour de France is in Jimmy Johnson's sights after race car driving.
You made a good point during the break. Asheville to Charlotte's downhill.
No, wait a minute.
And what's even more impressive, after 130 miles yesterday, we hear Jimmy Johnson woke up and did 15 miles of mountain bike riding this morning with Chase Elliott.
He's got problems, I think, really. Someone should check him out.
Interesting, as we talk about some of the more difficult endurance runs for Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Chase Elliott. We were wondering, 5 races into Jeff Gordon's broadcast career, what's been the hardest thing you've had to face, sir?
Oh my goodness, I only have so much time to get it, your voice in there and your opinion, and then somebody's talking in your ear like, all right, now tell me how many seconds I have left.
The word is concise. Be concise.
But luckily, I'm working with a great team, with you guys as well.
We love having you, Jeff. You're doing a great job.
And there's rain forecast for tomorrow. You might get your first chance at Rainfield.
No.
All right, Rainfield.
We'll see you tomorrow, guys.
Drivers that have gone to victory lane in 2016. Now, some of those we know. They're contenders, right? So we're not going to talk about them. But right now, a little game of contender, pretender. Who do you think's going to go to Homestead and win this championship? We start with driver 1, Jamie McMurray. Contender or pretender?
Should we apologize before this all starts?
You should.
Anyways?
Go ahead and say you're sorry right now.
Sorry. Sorry to whoever we...
This one might be a little bit easier. Won the title 2 years ago. Kevin Harvick. He only has 1 win. 17 top 10s, though, guys. Can he turn it on in the playoffs?
The only driver to go to the championship 4 in the first 2 years of this format. What about his teammate? I'm not talking about Kurt Busch, talking about the boss man, Tony Stewart. This is an interesting... Tony's good side,
How about the feel-good story of the year? Chris Buescher, guys. Let's say he can get in, right? He's 3 points shy of making the top 30, but let's assume come Chicago, he's one of the 16. Is he for real?
Not. We've talked Stewart. How about the third guy over at Stewart Haas that will be a part of the playoffs, Kurt Busch, contender, pretender? Hey there, what's happening? Welcome to NASCAR Race Hub on a Monday. 2 playoff dates in the books with Danielle Trotta. I'm Adam Alexander. Today's show presented by Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. You ready for this?
I'm most ready for our mock presidential debate.
Oh, there's that.
That's the part of the show I'm really looking forward to. For now, though, I know what Harvick is happiest about. Yes.
Turns out the closer can still close, and Harvick is indeed happy. So are we. And Danielle, look who's here to talk about it all. David Reagan with us on this Monday, and America's crew chief, Larry McReynolds. A title that will mean so much more later in the show. We will explain.
I would vote for either of these gentlemen any day of the week. We are talking about all the big events surrounding yesterday's race at Loudon. It was so exciting. But big picture, guys, what's your big takeaway, the thing that had you most fired up? Here's my take. I don't think it's that slow. I think 2 races in, you're already seeing separation. You can already really tell who the contenders are and the pretenders.
And one guy that's been to the championship 4 both years we've had this format, Kevin Harvick. What's he doing now that we're in the playoffs again? He's winning again, and we got some numbers on
tires. He finished 5th, and what's significant about that for that finish?
Another driver I want to put on that list is Joey Logano. A lap down.
Everything has to be on the line. You're talking a few points can make a lot of difference in those 7 or 8 points that Jamie lost by finishing 19th instead of a top 10. I'm sure it will be very important this weekend.
For 4 drivers, it's over in Dover.
That line doesn't get old.
Think of that or what?
Hasn't.
It's original.
Thank you, yes. And when you look at the total number of Toyota drivers in the chase, that being with Truex at 5, all are sitting top 10 on the chase grid. Larry, I think we see JGR a bit differently. I feel like even with some bobbles, they're still extremely solid. Truex and Kenseth were the cars to beat yesterday.
Yeah, but I go back to Chicago.
Did Joey Logano. He knows they need to run a lot better if they want to compete as these rounds tick off.
Yeah, Team Penske has shown more speed last year, so they'll be working hard to try to make their cars a little faster.
Speaking of those Hendrick guys, Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott, both having top 5 cars yesterday. We're focusing on HMS tomorrow because Jimmy's crew chief, Chad Knaus, will be good for Harvick, who celebrated his 34th career win yesterday. That broke a tie with Fireball Roberts for 22nd all-time on the NASCAR wins list. An interesting note, everyone ahead of Harvick in all-time wins is either still active or in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. So let's look back at how Harvick got it done after starting 19th.
You know, the one thing I have learned in this chase format last couple of years, margin for error is like that. In 2 weeks in 2016, we have not said one word about the 4-team and the pit crew, you know?
Well, and we talked about
something I marvel at with Harvick is the mental focus. When Adam talked to him on media day, days before we even raced at Chicagoland, I mean, the guy just gets in a different zone this time of year. Is that a secret ingredient for Kevin Harvick's success?
And I think what he's trying to do is make sure that rubs off on that race team. We talked to him on Victory Lane last night after the race, and he didn't talk about their goals coming to the
And I am glad this portion of the show has arrived. You know, the presidential debate is tonight.
Yes.
We've got our own little debate here in the Hub studio. Each a question. We'll put 20 seconds on the clock. Each will respond with the first answerer getting a rebuttal. Why don't you go ahead and set us up with that first question?
I'd just like to say it's an honor to help moderate this debate, Adam. Thank you. Larry, first question. We stayed green yesterday at Loudon for 124 laps. The length of that was 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 28 seconds. Michael Waltrip tweeted during that time simply, caution clock. Should the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series use a caution?
Eastern Standard Time. That's when these Sunday afternoon races are going to start.
He's going to cut everything but ticket prices. Cut.
And maybe throw a few more walls in. A few more sulfur walls would be great.
Now we're building a wall. What in the world?
God bless him. Breaking news, David. What did you see?
Yeah, they were beating and banging into that.
Ooh.
You waited until this much time
This is
in
juicy.
the show to tell us that.
Well, all I know is my campaign trail is moving up to Dover, Delaware, where your biggest competitor will be that racetrack.
You guys look great, by the way. The suspenders, Larry, you got to keep those, all right?
I'm ready to start.
Good to have you with us on a Wednesday edition of NASCAR Race Hub with Danielle Trotta. I'm Adam Alexander. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. here today. First time in like 4 months. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
And another Ford guy, Drew Blickensderfer. Always good to have you in.
Thank you.
The driver and the crew chief.
I was going to say, yeah.
A driver and a crew chief.
Yeah, not the driver crew chief pairing. Of course, Drew works with Eric Almirola on a regular basis in the Cup Series. But because of the relationship between Roush and RPM, you guys have some chemistry on conference calls and working together in some kind of way.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, and
yeah, if it's Tony Stewart, his back is against the wall and he's fiery anyway. So keep your driver far away from the 14. It is an intense time. Do you guys really feel the pressure? Is it different than the regular season?
It's definitely different. And
the outside in, you're looking for some of those guys that are really good there to have some issues.
And there's only 3 guys this year that are over 27 ahead of the cut line. So that means, there's a lot of them that are watching this worried right now.
Yeah, we'll show you those points in just a moment.
Point of reference, though, Jimmy Johnson goes to Dover this year, plus 18.
Yes.
I know based on what happened a year ago, he's not comfortable, but he should be confident. Let's hear from the 6-time champion. Here's Alan Cavana.
Yeah, so when we look at, late race restarts, Ricky looked at Drew again in that piece and said, man, I'd want short run speed because all these late cautions, Drew. How do you set up the car as a crew chief then? And then let's go big picture of the bottom 4 who may be concerned you're trying to get out.
Well, I think setting up the car. So Austin Dillon, at the end of the day, with nothing to lose, he could get some restarts and put a lot of pressure on those guys that are ahead of him.
Gut feeling on how it plays out? Who's in after Sunday's race?
Oh,
and who's
Ricky
going
on
home?
the hot seat. That monster is scary in so many ways. Ricky, you agree with all that?
I agree 100%. They all had very valid points for me.
Mile racetrack. Let's dive a little bit deeper here on our track map as we head to Delaware for the 3rd chase race. Ricky, back in May, we saw trouble on a restart for Jimmy Johnson.
This can be so dangerous, and as a race car driver, you're trying to get the best restart you can. To go as fast as you can, as quick as you can, but the problem is when things don't go right in front of the field or even in the middle, you got to slow down as quick as you can, and that's a tough thing to do, especially at Dover. It's hard to see. Racetrack's fairly narrow, and your spotter's trying to tell you where to go. I got lucky. I got a little bit of damage,
right here.
But this can be detrimental to some of those chase drivers for sure.
Yeah, and remember, this is the first elimination race in the 10-race chase for the Sprint Cup, Ricky. You also have to be careful on the backstretch.
Coming up out of these corners is really tight. Kyle Larson gets a run on Carl, gets him a little bit arrow loose, doesn't touch him until Carl has to correct the car and turns Carl down the racetrack into the inside wall. Luckily, this was only a single car crash. This very well could have been another straightaway blocked and catch a lot more cars up in it. So, this is very easy to happen here at Dover.
Ricky, in terms of toughness, I know no track we visit is easy, but where does this rank on your list?
And also be, really ready for anything.
White knuckle racing, and we haven't even touched pit road. For more on that, we head to our crew chief. Let's send it over to.
Joining us now on NASCAR Race Hub, 3-time Sprint Cup Series champion Tony Stewart. Smoke, welcome in on this Wednesday. Danielle and I are here together. Who should get the balance of questions? More for Danielle or more for me? What do you prefer here?
Well, I mean, she should probably spend more. You decide however you think it should be divided.
All right, we'll try to break it up fairly. Let's start. Last night you were in Memphis. I saw your Periscope from the PBR, and I was thinking this could be a nice retirement plan for you. Go from driving race cars to riding bulls. What do you think?
Home in one piece, Tony. We need you healthy for this final stretch. I was at your press conference at your shop when you announced your retirement. You said you could have quit then. You didn't need to come back this year. You did it so the fans that wanted to come out and see you one last time had the opportunity. But wondering even if Tony Stewart is getting a little nostalgic, a little emotional knowing there's only 8 races left. He's just able to give you those walk-off performances. He just goes into a different zone, a different mode when he has to. I know you can too. With what you're facing on Sunday, do you channel your inner Kevin? How can we help you get this done, buddy? We all want to see you move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll all be watching anxiously on Sunday as you try to knock it out of the park and move on to the round.
This time of year, it's all about the chase, but back in Rusty's day, the sport was vastly different. From the cars themselves to the larger-than-life personalities who packed the grandstands every single weekend. So we thought in the midst of our current playoff system, it'd be interesting to have our past champions relive their title run and get their take on NASCAR and how it exists today. Your 1989 Cup champion Rusty Wallace kicks off our ongoing series, The Elder States. All of us sometimes to sit back and remember where we came from and how we got to this point in 2016. Looking back 30 years, you hear Rusty tell those stories, Ricky, as a driver. What did you find most interesting?
Well, come here and make it big with Mark Martin. It's impressive, and it's neat to hear.
It really is, and it's an ongoing series. As we said, our next installment features your boss, Richard Petty. And we have 7 championships to get through, so we'll get some cool stories from the
NASCAR Race Up. It is the finals of our trophy showdown, and I know you guys have been playing along at home, okay? Yeah. Here's how the bracket started. 16 tracks against one another. You've been voting at home, foxsports.com/NASCAR. From 16 to the Final 4, and Danielle, our championship matchup, Miles the Monster at Dover against that grandfather clock.
Voting closed last night, but we still are letting 2 write-ins. Drew and Ricky, if you had to decide Dover or the clock, which way are you going?
We're going old school.
All right, Adam, let's reveal it. Are you ready? The moment is here.
Do we get a drum roll here? Are you good at the drum roll? Okay, maybe not. I feel like I'm on Christmas vacation. Let's go ahead. There it is, the winner in 2016. And we have confetti.
See, we cut budget on the music, but we had enough money left over for the confetti. Guys, that was fun.
I have the grandfather clock, and you have your friend Miles the Monster.
We want to thank Todd Bodine, 2-time Camping World Truck Series champ, for bringing in one of his Miles trophies. There you see it. He's my personal favorite. He got my vote from the outset. So now it's time for a new segment we're calling This Week in Non-Chaser News. You all know it's crunch time for the chase drivers. We talk about them a lot. So we thought it'd be fun to give some props to a non-chaser who stood out this past weekend. See, it's not Throwback Thursday yet, but we did it a day early. A little throwback for you on this Wednesday.
I love the new feature.
I loved it.
It is.
We need to get you on there. Next week.
I need to do something good. So
Go do something great this weekend at Dover, and next week you will be
next week.
Okay,
that's right.
You're
next
eligible
2 weeks.
too.
We'll take the next 2 weeks.
Right.
In the meantime, now we have the Martin and Martin show, right? We have Madison Martin and Martin Truex Jr. is celebrating a birthday on Sunday.
I thought I was like 17. Yeah, solid.
You're turning 29, but we did a play on your car number, obviously.
I like the car number.
So,
thank you.
How are you guys going to? Will Danica let you eat sweets? I know this isn't. It's not necessarily healthy.
I will order a dessert and she'll take a bite of it.
Okay. You can bring this home to her.
I will.
Happy birthday,
and there is little doubt your wish is to win at Dover this weekend on your birthday.
For sure. I know I picked the grandfather clock, but I would take Miles the Monster as well.
Yes. That'd be a great birthday present.
I would say if you win at Dover this weekend, that just gives you the momentum you need to win.
You will probably make that feature on next Wednesday's show as well as the best non-chaser if you do that.
Yeah, this week's non-chaser news.
Yeah, when you're racing and you're as busy as you are, Ricky, does your birthday kind of, does it go to the back burner a little bit?
It does. We were on the take me to dinner.
I love it. And you can bring the
birthday,
leftovers by any time.
November.
Here's the Drew's been a host here for how long, and you've never gotten a birthday cake.
Once again, this day, Ricky, 29 years young. Best of luck at Dover.
See you soon.